South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol holds talks with his Romanian counterpart Klaus Iohannis at his office in Yongsan for further cooperation on defense weaponry and nuclear power. Following yesterday's short-range ballistic missile firing, North Korea says it conducted drills simulating a nuclear counterattack using super-large multiple rocket launchers. South Korea's military sees this as exaggerated, adding Russia could be one of the reasons behind the launch. Medical professors are considering halting their services once a week, citing fatigue from the prolonged walkout by resident doctors. The top office expresses deep regret over doctors refusing dialogue and sticking to no increase in the number of future medical school students. It's April 23, 2024. This is Newscenter. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Jong-min. President Yoon hosted his Romanian counterpart, Klaus Iohannis, earlier on this Tuesday at the Yongsan office. The leaders sealed deals on defense and more. Our presidential office correspondent Oh Soo-young leads us off.
South Korea and Romania agreed to strengthen their strategic bilateral ties, inking deals to cooperate on defense weaponry and nuclear power plants. That's according to a joint statement released by President Yoon Suk-yeol and his Romanian counterpart Klaus Iohannis following their summit at the Yongsan presidential office on Tuesday. Building on their existing bilateral consultations on defense-related issues, the two nations agreed to ramp up cooperation in jointly producing military equipment and defense technology, and establish working-level talks between the two sides to address pertinent issues. The two also agreed to work together to address cybersecurity and showed interest in advancing negotiations for the Korea-European Union Security Partnership. Another key outcome was nuclear energy, as Seoul seeks opportunities for its companies to win contracts to build small modular reactors abroad. The two governments signed a memorandum of understanding to establish nuclear energy cooperation, including on nuclear facility enhancement, nuclear fuel, nuclear waste management, as well as personnel development and information on supply chains. While committing to non-proliferation and the civil use of nuclear power, they agreed on the importance of nuclear technology in meeting global net zero targets, with Romania backing South Korea's carbon-free energy initiative. The two nations will also increase cooperation on infrastructure development, based on a deal reached last May between Busan Port Authority and Romania's Port of Constanța. Based on their shared values of democracy, human rights and the rule of law, the two countries agreed on the need to strengthen multilateralism, especially in the face of global security challenges. They condemned North Korea's illegal nuclear and missile programs, calling for its denuclearization and the human rights of its oppressed citizens. Seoul and Bucharest also criticized Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, agreeing to ramp up collective pressure on Moscow through restrictive measures. Amid global supply chain disruptions and the ongoing transition to green energy, the two countries agreed to build on South Korea and the EU's frameworks, including on free trade, economic security, and green and digital partnerships. With bilateral ties stretching back to 1990, upgraded to a strategic cooperation in 2008. This marks the first time in 16 years that a Romanian leader has visited South Korea. Following his summit with Yoon and a meeting with Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, Iohannis will visit power plant builder Doosan Enerbility's Changwon factory on Wednesday before he leaves for Romania on Thursday. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
North Korea says it conducted drills yesterday simulating a nuclear counterattack using super-large multiple rocket launchers. South Korea's military sees this as exaggerated as it analyzes reasons behind the launch. Our defense correspondent Choi Min-jung has this report.
North Korea has revealed that it staged tactical drills simulating a nuclear counterattack using super-large multiple rocket launchers for the very first time. The training guided by Kim Jong-un on Monday was focused on strengthening the regime's nuclear counteroffensive using 600mm multiple rocket launchers. The North state-run newspaper Rodong Sinmun reported Tuesday morning that Kim was satisfied with the rocket's accuracy. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff detected the launch of multiple short-range ballistic missiles on Monday, launched toward the East Sea from the Pyongyang area. Pyongyang has claimed a tactical nuclear warhead could be mounted onto the weapon, but Seoul's military evaluates that the claim has been exaggerated, as it said the regime still appears to be carrying out tests. And according to the regime, the rockets hit its island target at a range of 352 kilometers. This is approximately equal to the distance from Pyongyang to South Korea's Garyongdae military headquarters in Chungcheongnam-do province. The South Korean military stressed that it has a system in place to detect and intercept ballistic missiles if they were to fly toward the south. It also sent a stern warning to the north.
International security cooperation, including territorial cooperation between South Korea, the US, and Japan, will be further strengthened. If North Korea attempts to use nuclear weapons, it will face an immediate, overwhelming, and decisive response from the ROK-US alliance, and the regime will come to an end.
Pyongyang said Monday's drills were conducted to send a clear warning to its enemies, as it denounced Seoul and Washington's recent joint air drills for raising tensions. But South Korea's military has said that there is another motive behind the launch, promoting exports to Russia.
We believe there is a complex purpose, like demonstrating the performance of the super-large multiple rocket launchers for exports.
The speculation comes as a military source said Russia's government delegation visited North Korea on Monday under the radar. This raises the possibility that Pyongyang, which has been criticized by the international community for exporting weapons to Moscow, is intentionally hiding the visit to make additional arms deals. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
North Korean hacker groups have been targeting defense industries in the south. This is according to South Korea's National Police Agency on Tuesday. It said North Korean hackers, including the Lazarus and Daryl and Kim Soo-ki groups, have been running all-out attacks to steal South Korean defense technologies in what an official called a notable cooperation. Around 10 companies have reported hacking damage. The police agency said security measures were taken once the damage was confirmed. North Korea's human rights record remains appalling, according to the latest annual findings by the U.S. State Department. Lee Seung-jae has more.
The U.S. State Department on Monday released the 2023 country reports on human rights practices, where it highlighted North Korea's continued human rights violations. While this year's report was generally similar to last year's, the 2023 report emphasized North Koreans being repatriated after COVID-19 restrictions begin to loosen in the regime. Repatriation has been a key issue for the U.S. amid concerns that North Koreans who are caught after escaping the North could face harsh treatment after being sent back home. The report also noted other serious human rights issues, such as public executions, torture, arbitrary arrest, and detention. The annual report pointed out involuntary or coercive medical practices, harsh prison conditions, as well as cases of coerced abortion or forced sterilization and human trafficking. It further elaborated on other human rights violations, such as those attempting to leave the country without permission, being killed on the spot, or publicly executed, while guards at political prison camps are said to be under orders to shoot to kill anyone attempting to escape. It added that freedom of expression, movement, assembly, and association are prohibited, with an assessment that basic human rights are not guaranteed in North Korea. Every year, the State Department publishes a report on the human rights situation in countries around the world, including South Korea and North Korea, which is required by law to be submitted to Congress. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Seoul and Washington are sitting down in Hawaii on Tuesday to address the sharing of expenses involved in maintaining American troop presence here in South Korea. Lee Eun-hee reports.
South Korea and the United States' new round of talks on defense cost sharing starts on Tuesday local time in Hawaii. This is the first meeting since Seoul and Washington named their chief negotiators early last month. Lee Tae-woo, formerly the Consul General in Sydney, will lead South Korea's delegation. He will engage in talks with a U.S. delegation led by Linda Specht, a senior advisor and U.S. lead negotiator for security agreements at the State Department, who on Monday said the United States seeks fair and equitable outcomes in the Special Measures Agreement for defense cost sharing aimed at strengthening and maintaining the alliance with South Korea. The 12th Special Measures Agreement outlines the cost-sharing arrangement between South Korea and the U.S. for approximately 25,500 U.S. Forces Korea personnel. Since 1991, South Korea has been shouldering some of the costs of stationing of U.S. troops in Korea, including labor, logistics, and construction costs. The two countries have regularly engaged in negotiations on how to share these expenses, with the latest deal signed in 2021 and set to remain in effect until the end of next year.
I will do my best to ensure that a rational level of defense cost sharing is achieved to provide a stable stationing environment for the deployment of U.S. forces Korea, an essential element of this combined defense posture between South Korea and the U.S.
The early talks on the Special Measures Agreement, despite its effective start date in 2026, are viewed as an unusual move, with speculation that it is aimed at securing an agreement before the potential re-election of former U.S. President Donald Trump. During his presidency, Trump demanded that South Korea pay up to $5 billion a year. However, the South Korean Foreign Ministry has dismissed this speculation, saying that the early preparations are not related to the November election. Under the latest Special Measures Agreement, South Korea agreed to a 13.9% increase in its contribution from 2019 to $1.3 billion for 2021. Lee Eun-hee, Arirang News.
Medical professors are considering halting their services once a week, citing fatigue from the prolonged walkout by resident doctors. The top office expresses disappointment over doctors refusing dialogue. Shin Se-byuk has the latest on the medical reform conflict.
Professors from leading hospitals nationwide are considering halting all outpatient services and surgeries once a week due to fatigue resulting from the prolonged resident doctors' walkout. The Medical Professors Association of Korea's Emergency Committee plans to discuss this in an online meeting at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. Specific service suspension timelines will vary among hospitals, but essential services such as emergency and intensive care will not be affected. If approved today, major hospitals, including Seoul's Big Five, are expected to implement the weekly shutdown. This is seen as a new strategy by the senior doctors to pressure the government ahead of it finalizing the 2025 medical school admissions quota at the end of this month. Meanwhile, with medical professors' resignations set to take effect this Thursday, patient anxiety is escalating. Since March 25th, professors have submitted their resignations in support of the resident doctors' protest. In response, the Korea Alliance of Patients organization issued a statement on Monday, urging the professors to continue providing essential care. At a Tuesday briefing, Senior Presidential Secretary for Social Affairs Chang Sang-yoon expressed disappointment over the doctors' boycott of the newly created Special Committee on Medical Reform.
We regret that the Korean Medical Association is not participating in this crucial multi-sector body, which aims to shape the future of our nation's healthcare, and that the Korean Intern Resident Association has not yet taken a stance. We are hopeful for a change before the committee's launch.
Chang also stressed that the government remains open to dialogue if the medical community provides a well-substantiated, unified proposal on the medical school quota increase. Currently, the doctors' organizations are calling for the government to completely reconsider the plan. On Tuesday, Im Hyun-taek, the president-elect of the Korean Medical Association, said on social media that officials responsible for the ongoing standoff, including the second Vice Health Minister Bang Min-soo, must be dismissed before any further talks can take place. The Health Ministry, however, said that linking the doctors' return to work to the dismissal of specific officials was unreasonable. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
At the National Assembly today, the National Policy Committee directly referred an amendment to the Fair Transactions in Franchise Businesses Act to a plenary session. The bill aims to strengthen franchises' collective bargaining rights. The Act on the Honorable Treatment of Democratic Merit, which aims to recognize victims of democratization movements and their families as meritorious people, was also sent directly to the Assembly. Amid a walkout by the ruling People Power Party, 15 members from the opposition parties, including the Democratic Party of Korea, voted in favor. The PPP, which opposed the bills, strongly condemned the move, calling it reckless legislative behavior. The DP plans to vote on the bills during an extraordinary plenary session in May. Economic relations between South Korea and the United States continue to grow, while various factors are affecting Korea as an attractive business destination. These were some of the topics that were brought up as CEOs and government officials gathered today in Seoul to talk about American firms doing business in Korea. Our Moon Hye-ryun files this report.
The American Chamber of Commerce in Korea opened its annual AMCHAM Doing Business in Korea seminar on Tuesday, with company heads and government officials to discuss policy directions to make the country more attractive for American firms. The U.S. ambassador to South Korea spoke of how the U.S. has become South Korea's largest investor and how American firms are betting on the Korean market due to its prominence on the global stage in terms of industry and cultural content.
Korea is meeting the global moment as a global cultural and economic powerhouse. As a result, Korea is at a moment of opportunity to position itself to attract more international business.
According to a survey conducted by AMCHAM, South Korea was ranked as the second most preferred destination for regional business headquarters in Asia, after Singapore for 3 years straight.
New York Times is a good example. They moved its regional headquarters from Hong Kong to Korea. And why did they move here? Great freedom of press. The digital infrastructure is outstanding. And third, look at the people that you have in Korea. Hardworking, educated, who can execute.
But there's still a long way to go before the country can firmly establish itself as a regional headquarters hub.
Singapore has 5,000 regional headquarters. Hong Kong has 1,400. Believe it or not, Korea has less than 100. Now is the perfect time for Korea to really win some of those regional headquarters into Korea.
In order to achieve such a goal, there are 4 key policy areas that Seoul needs to develop.
One is labor flexibility. The other is predictability on tax. And a topic that always comes up, CEO risk and liabilities, and the digital economy and regulations.
The Yoon administration has already begun to address some of these concerns, such as tax predictability, extending flat income tax rates for foreign workers. But with the digital economy increasingly accounting for larger portions of the country's GDP, and demand surging for more talent in new up-and-coming sectors such as AI, the government aims to foster growth in research and development between foreign and domestic groups.
This year, we established an R&D business exclusively for foreign companies so that global companies can promote technological innovation in Korea.
With the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy working with AMCHAM to further advance the country as an attractive business destination and spearhead the program to advance South Korea as a regional business hub, there could be more developments in store. Moon Hye-ryun, Arirang News.
In the U.S., former President Donald Trump's criminal trial over alleged hush money payments is underway, with both the prosecution and defense making compelling opening statements. Lee Eun-jin has more.
On Monday, the prosecution and Donald Trump's defense made their opening statements at the former president's hush money trial, the first criminal trial of a former U.S. president. The final jurors were seated on Friday, and all eyes will be on New York Supreme Court Judge Juan Merchant as he oversees the first criminal trial of a former U.S. president. Trump has pleaded not guilty to all 34 charges of falsifying business records related to an accusation that a payment of $130,000 US was made to porn star Stormy Daniels in return for keeping quiet about an alleged encounter between Daniels and Trump. For opening statements, prosecutor Matthew Colangelo argued election fraud, saying that Donald Trump had a scheme to corrupt the 2016 election by silencing people who were about to come forward with embarrassing stories that may hurt his campaign. The prosecution argued that it wasn't political spin or a communication strategy to avoid bad press, but that it was a planned and highly coordinated scheme of illegal hush money expenditures. Meanwhile, opening statements from Trump's defense attacked the case as baseless, saying the former president did nothing illegal, arguing that Trump was trying to protect his family, reputation, and name brand. While leaving the courtroom on Monday, Trump downplayed the trial, calling it a very minor bookkeeping case, and that it was indeed about an election, not the 2016 election, but the one this November, saying that it was a Democratic attempt to disrupt his chances at reclaiming the presidency.
And over here, I did nothing wrong also. This is a Biden witch hunt to keep me off the campaign trail. So far, it's not working because my poll numbers are higher than they've ever been because the public understands that it's a witch hunt. Thank you very much.
The first witness for the prosecutors was former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker, also a longtime friend of Trump's. He took the witness stand before court broke for the day, and his testimony is expected to continue on Tuesday. 이은진, Arirang News.
The sky was dark, but the sun was shining through the clouds today. The air has stayed very cozy even though it's a little windy in Seoul. However, with skies gradually becoming more cloudy, by the time we get off work today, there's rain forecast on the southern coast. It will then expand across the country tonight. If you have an appointment tonight, you should take an umbrella. Tomorrow it will rain all over the country, but by the afternoon, most of the rain will have stopped. Until tomorrow, the coastal areas of Gangwon province will have 10 to 40 millimeters. About 5 to 20 will fall in most other areas. Since the atmosphere will be unstable, thunder, lightning, and hail are expected as well. Please be careful. Tomorrow, the weather will be cool in Seoul due to the wind and rain. Seoul and Daegu will start off at 11 degrees Celsius. Daytime temperatures will move up to 17 in Seoul, Daejeon and Gwangju 18 degrees. Later in the week, it is expected to get as hot as early summer. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world. That is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session coming up.
Welcome. 24시간 불이 꺼지지 않는 나라. 감당할 수 있겠니?
하나, 둘, 셋.
Hey, Mr. Cupid, look my way. Make sure you listen to what I say. I may be stupid or quite naive.
끝없이 쏟아지는 포토스팟. 휴대폰 한 대로 감당할 수 있겠니?
Arrow straight through my heart.
시작입니다. 하나, 스탠바이. 하나, 스타트.
저는 그림을 그리기 시작했어요. 작가도 되고 전시도 하고 책상도 있어요. 동료 작가들도 있어요. 저는 대한민국의 실패사 아트 작가 인자입니다.
Thanks for tuning in. You're watching Arirang's Within the Frame. Coming to you live from Seoul, I'm Han-daeun. National debate is heating up here in South Korea over implementation of proactive immigration policy in response to its looming demographic woes. The government says that South Korea has transitioned to a stage where accepting more immigrants is not merely an option, but an imperative to address the looming labor shortage and stave off the serious risks of demographic decline. But consensus is lacking, and a multitude of hurdles loom large on the horizon. On this edition of Within the Frame, we look into immigration as a potential remedy for Korea's dwindling population and explore the array of challenges it may entail. To help us explore the directions of the country's immigration policy, Zelana Zemire, lecturer of international studies at Hanyang University, joins us in the studio. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you so much.
Also accompanying us tonight is Choi Hyun-sun, professor of public administration at Myeongji University. Welcome to the program.
Hello, thanks for having me.
All right, Dr. Zemire, I want to start with you. Oh, my apologies. Professor Choi, let's start with you. South Korea's total fertility rate stood at 0.72 last year. How serious is this, and what does the number imply for Korea's future?
Yes, it is very serious. Maybe Koreans extinct, maybe no more Koreans in the future. So in short and middle range period, also our society and industry totally changed. I think that how serious we are, the New York Times compare our population cliff maybe to the Black Death in the 14th century in the Europe, because our population, the decline is so fast, and it's like a big disease now on our country, and then it is changed a lot. Especially defense is started some problem. I mean, there are not enough the reserve of the people, especially young generation. So maybe our defense system have not enough the soldiers. Also, education is a big problem. I'm now working at the university. Probably in the future or the short future, maybe half of our university will be gone because there are no more children we can teach. Also, welfare is a big problem in the aging population because we don't have we have a historic lowest the fertility rate. At the same time, we have a lot of the aging population in the future, and the welfare cost will be shoot up. So, which means our society has a big pressure in our industry and defense, education, and welfare, and it is the most urgent issue in our country.
Korea's birth rate is so low that it's being likened to Black Death, as you've pointed out, in Europe in 14th century. And it's also becoming a focal point for scholars worldwide. And the imminent threat is getting more palpable each year. And to tackle the issue before it's too late, the government is exerting all efforts, and that include welcoming more foreigners. Now, Dr. Zemire, the South Korean government has rolled out a series of measures to attract more foreign workers amid the country's shrinking workforce. And of them include granting more incentives to migrant workers and relaxing regulations related to visa issuance and residence permits as well. In your perspective, could foreign workers be a viable solution to tackling the country's looming labor shortage?
So first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to discuss this viable topic. I must mention that actually very recently Korean Ministry of Labor announced that they will need 900,000 foreign workers by 2032, that is around in 8 years. So we talk about practically 1 million people. That's a huge workforce shortage. And I must mention that other countries, other developed countries actually experience the same things. For example, UK, France, Germany, Japan, and others. UK and France, they solved this by attracting people from their former colonies, and they offer them some kind of permanent residency as a form of apology for past. Germany and Japan, they adopted foreign worker programs, and that is what Korea has been doing. However, I must mention, first of all, Germany is the most successful among these three, and Germany started with this very early 1960s. Foreign workers were in charge of like very boosting economy. Germany originally expected that they will be staying short time and then they will go back to their home, but they realized in early 2000s that there are around 7 million illegal foreign workers, around 8% of population. So Germany decided simply to catch two rabbits with one shot, and that is allowing them to stay permanently. And then there has been a series of very open immigration policies. Still Germany faces workforce shortage. So what Korea can learn from that, I can say that Korea actually is on a very similar path. But Korea has been insisting on preventing 3D workers to stay here permanently. So we keep them 5 years, we teach them skills, they become professional, and then we let them go, we force them to go. This is not good for them and not good for Korean economy neither, because then Korean companies need to hire new people from abroad that are still not trained. So they bring them in and then they have to train them from scratch. This produces a vicious circle, so it creates more illegal migrants. And Korean government also is struggling because they need to invest money, efforts on illegal crackdown all the time. So I'm simply wondering why we need to go into this vicious circle. It would be sort of a little bit easier solution, at least if not allowing them to stay permanently, allowing them to stay longer term. I think this is one solution. Yeah.
So you do believe that inviting more foreign workers can be a viable solution to tackle Korea's looming labor shortage, but we will need more adjustments and improved measures to deal with the large influx of foreign workers.
You are right. So only more quantity of people, it's not enough. We will need to adjust policy in more holistic way, I think. Yeah.
All right, now, Professor Che, according to the latest statistics, the number of foreign residents in Korea reached over 1.4 million last year, hitting the highest level yet. 9 in 10 were in their 30s or younger, and the majority of them were from Asia. Could you help us understand the pattern in the influx of foreigners and the implications?
Yes, there are some several very interesting points, especially we have a young foreign resident. Now, the influx of the young foreign residents is a very good sign for Korean society, because we don't have not enough the human resource. In the same time, our aging population is growing. So maybe in the future, as just a general talk about maybe let them stay longer. If we can do that, maybe it help a lot. This influx of the young foreign resident can help a lot, especially Korean industry and society. Also, same time, it is interesting. The most foreign residents are mainly from the Asia, where is maybe similar to our culture. They can eat the rice, something like that. So maybe it is more good way we can mingle together maybe in the future if we have a more aggressive immigration policy. But however, in the same time, foreign population is following the maybe pattern of our Koreans residents at life, which is they are concentrated in the Seoul and the Gyeonggi or other big cities. So our problems, many problems are happening in the rural area, especially the population cliff happens a lot in the rural area. Also, industry in the rural area is a big issue. So I think the government needs to consider how to allocate this foreign population in the countrywide, especially rural area. So I think in the future we must change immigration policy more aggressively. Maybe not in the future. Maybe right now we should do that. Then we have a very good condition, very good circumstance, which is Asian population, including the many other countries. Also, we have a young population is coming to the Korea, which is a very good sign to our country. So I think that this is a very good, very interesting points according to the statistics.
Thousands of foreigners now live in Korea, but little assistance and protection is offered to the population, according to various reports. It's one thing to bring in immigrants to mitigate demographic woes, but quite another to facilitate their integration into the Korean society, which leads to our next question. Dr. Zamire, how would you evaluate the Korean government's support and related policies for foreign residents within the country? And also, what is your perspective on the level of acceptance of immigrants within Korean society?
Okay, so first I need to mention that Korean government primarily supports people who are envisioned to stay here permanently. So we speak about marriage migrants and their multicultural families. We speak about ethnic return migrants, meaning Joseonjok, Korean Americans, and Korean. And then we speak about foreign professionals. Among these three, marriage migrants actually, in my opinion, receive the biggest support. They have access to a variety of programs in their local offices, in their local administration offices. They range from simple courses like cooking, hobby, until more serious things such as child rearing and child support. I think this is all very helpful for them. Of course, there are some services missing. I would like to highlight in some problematic cases, such as cases of divorce. They lack I think the legal staff are very much understaffed. So these kind of services are definitely lacking. However, overall, I think support for marriage migrants is good. When you talk about ethnic return migrants, they don't have any problem with visa, I think. However, in Korean society, it matters a lot whether a person is Joseonjok, Korean, or Korean American. Among these three Korean Americans, I believe they receive the least discrimination. Other two groups, very often, they have to suffer from prejudice, misjudgments, even discrimination in society. To solve this, we definitely need to adopt multicultural education that stresses that all cultures are equal, all cultural identities are equal. Then speaking about foreign professionals, this group is very much diverse. That's why I can't really talk about their identities in short, but I would like to stress that this group can be very viable, very significant bridge between Korea and abroad. They can attract foreign investment, they can stimulate trade, improve Korean image abroad, but Korean government needs to help them how to do this role very effectively. So I hope that Korean government can provide more programs going in this direction.
And in related question, Professor Che, some are calling on the need to establish a new national immigration agency that can serve as a control tower for related issues. What are your thoughts on this?
I think that this is a good news, but there are some things we must consider. I think the national immigration agency should be the planning and the service agency, not the regulation of the legal enforcement agency. Especially the structure of our government is maybe new agency under the Department of the Law. It is not a good way because we are not talking about the regulation and the legal enforcement. We are talking about how we can our society be a multicultural society. We should do that because the general policy, comprehensive policy, should more focus on not only the labor and the population and the legal policy, but also multicultural society. So it's a totally different way. Maybe we can say the new immigrants can assimilate to our society. At the same time, we must respect their culture. So we must not choose easy way as a government and the bureaucracy in the government believe in that. If we have a new agency, everything will be solved. It's a very naive thinking, naive thought. So I think that we must choose and we must focus on the solution of our Korea's the most urgent issue is like a population cliff and the lowest the birth rate, and the same time the aging population. So if we make it, the new immigration agency should be more focused on the planning for the future, and then maybe service for our new population. So this is a brothers and sisters. So I think how we can welcome those new population is the key of the success of this new agency.
Well, the Yoon administration has been making efforts to launch a new agency that can serve as a control tower handling immigration affairs, but so far little progress has been made, so it's something to keep a close eye on. And another area to keep close tabs on is how other countries who took the path ahead of us are faring. Dr. Zamire, you mentioned briefly about Germany, but taking a deeper look into the issue. Germany's population, it added 300,000 last year. And of course, the main driving force of the population growth was immigrants. What can Korea learn from countries like Germany and other European countries or any other countries that you just mentioned?
Well, when we talk about Germany, Germany experienced very similar trends in the past, and that is like shrinking population, starting from 1960s. In 1960s, they had 2.5 birth rate, and in 1970s, it shrank to 1.4. However, Germany managed to contain that. So since then until today, Germany has around 1.4, 1.5 birth rate. Korean shrinking, if you look at the graph, it is all the time shrinking. So what can Korea learn from that? First of all, Germany, to contain that, adopted more and more aggressive immigration policies. That is number one. So Korea needs to think about it, how to adopt more progressive, better immigration policies. Second thing is we need to think about domestic social policies. When I think about Korean mothers, you know, so many Korean mothers after birth, after childbirth, they opt to leave their careers. And I think I never met, no, I very rarely met a Korean mother who has 2 or 3 kids and she's still working. If we talk about Germany, Denmark, Netherlands, even my country, that doesn't belong to the most developed group, that is unthinkable. You know, those governments, they try to provide incentives, for example, flexible work time, or like working time in a period like where kids are in school, and giving enough monetary compensation for them to have motivation to keep on their career. In Korea, as you know, that is not the case. I feel that's very sad. I just hope that Korean government really comes up with more effective programs for Korean mothers, because for Korean mothers, I know that Korean government has been trying to do a lot, but I see nearly not as enough.
Germany and Canada are both considered immigration powerhouses among the G7 countries, with immigrants accounting for nearly 20% of their population. And if Korea's immigration rate reaches that level, of course, we'll see that much higher economic growth, according to various analyses. But there are, of course, challenges associated with this. As you've mentioned, we will need more aggressive immigration policy and better support measures for foreign residents in Korea. And speaking of which, Professor Che, attracting highly skilled workers is another challenge for South Korea, as the majority of migrant workers are currently sought for low-skilled, cheap labor. What could be some possible ways to entice more skilled foreign experts?
Yes, I think that we should follow the Dr. Zamire just talked about very good things. So we should follow the way. But the thing is now we need maybe our immigration policy should be based on the global standard, because now we are compete other country with other countries for the more skilled foreign expert. But if you see the statistics, our foreign population average of their income is like 2 million wons, which is maybe very low, which is our immigration policy still focus on low-skilled cheap labor. So maybe, for example, our visa, we need to expand the E7, the visa, which is belong to the more skilled foreign expert. This is very important. Also, we must realize our society is now in the multicultural society. In the 2023, we have 4.8% of the foreign population, but now we are moving to the 5%, more than 5%. That OECD indicate more than 5% of the foreign population. That is maybe multicultural society. We are already in the multicultural society, but our institution, our legal, maybe the readiness is still behind that things. Another thing is I think that there is a very interesting concept we using a lot. Also, in the worldwide using is a creative cities. If we want to have an expert, a highly educated expert, maybe we should provide, according to the creative cities, maybe we should provide inclusion and the fairness and maybe cultural asset. Also, in our society, we have many ICT industry and top edge industry. So I think that this is a very good position. We can make it. We can attract more highly educated or skilled population to Korea. But problem is, we have a nice infrastructure, but still the institution, the legal readiness is behind that. So I think that maybe in the future, maybe in the future, we must have maybe new maybe agency for the labor, the immigration. Then we can fix this. We can fix it. I think Korea can fix this very soon.
And staying with you, Professor Che, large influxes of immigrants have contributed to population growth in some countries, but there were also side effects. Amid a rise in illegal immigration, refugees, crime, and housing prices, social anxiety also grew, which has been reflected in recent surveys. What are some preemptive measures that we can take to curb those adverse effects?
I think that maybe the last 80 years immigration, the history in the many countries, including German and maybe Canada and the United States, the problem about those some issue about the new immigrants and some citizens in the country, because of there is the immigration policy more focused on the maybe the industrial way or the population policy. So we need the labor for our industry. So we try to bring the people here, but now it's changed. So now in the multicultural society, we are changing. Many countries changed their policy. We should see the people from the other country as a human beings, as same as us. So this is a change of the paradigm in the immigration policy we should do. So it's just a matter of the human beings, not the labor force. So I think that this change of things can prevent about some side effect about this immigration. Yeah, probably this is very hard. I cannot say it is easy, but this is very hard. Maybe different culture, different people get together and make one society is very different. So it is very carefully we'll prepare about how we can maybe prepare the multicultural society. That's the key. Other thing is maybe in the creative cities should have inclusion. So we need some more inclusive policy. In the future, maybe we have a multicultural society concept and the inclusive policy. Then probably it's a much better way. Is the new maybe immigration and in the future. Yeah.
And just very quickly before we let you go, Dr. Zamira, what kind of actions do we need for Korea to advance towards a more inclusive society?
Okay, so you know that Korea is a very homogeneous society, and actually it was topic of my PhD thesis that Korea is kind of has ethnic nationalism and how this impacts our foreign population. That monoculturalism and that kind of hermit kingdom concept made sense in the past when Korea had to protect itself from potentially invasive forces from abroad. In 21st century, it makes little or very no sense. So I would like to highlight, since you mentioned some fears about immigration, that, for example, young Korean people these days are very much confused about their future, and they might be thinking that this foreigner who comes and want to become skilled migrant might be taking over their jobs. This is, first of all, unfounded fear, because many Korean companies, when they hire foreigners, they hire them for a different role, and that role is to boost foreign market, not domestic market. Second thing is, in front of this AI revolution that is coming, whether we want it or not, we will need new knowledge and new sets of skills. And Korea cannot rely on uniform, monocultural way of thinking to do that. Korea needs to be open to knowledge transfer from abroad, to multicultural way of thinking, and immigrant population here can facilitate that process. At Hanyang University, where I lecture and where I do my research, I'm focused on, let's say, two things. One is how to make foreign professionals more integrated together with other foreigners, and in front of this AI revolution, how to make Koreans and foreigners competitive. This is a huge task. It will take me a lot of effort, and we all as society need to work on it. If we manage, then Korea can become a very inclusive society and more competitive, well recognized abroad.
All right, we'll need a lot more active discussions on this issue, but we'll leave it there for tonight. Thank you so much, Dr. Zamide and Professor Che, for sharing your perspectives.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for watching, and be sure to tune in same time tomorrow to join our conversation. Goodbye for now.